2010 year in review.
The best developments of 2010 were
the worst thing that has happened.
Best and worst ideas.
Probably the first of the best.
I think the worst development of all.
This is the best and worst of 2010.
There were a lot of reports that came out toward the end of the year trying to put forward proposals for cutting federal budgets over the long term. 3 or 4 different reports, including one by the President's Commission, co-chaired by Alan Simpson and Erskine Bowles. And we thought it might be useful at the year end to recap what are the best and worst ideas that were put forward by these different commissions for cutting the federal budget. For example, one of the main ideas in a number of the commission reports is to start cutting the federal budget by the year 2012. Well, that's a terrible idea. Right now we have unemployment at about 9.8%. It's already the end of 2010. Most economic forecasts show that even if things go relatively well, the unemployment rate is still likely to be about 8% by 2012. If we start cutting the federal budget that soon, we run a very high risk that we're going to put the economy right back into a recession again. Our Fiscal Security, a partnership of the Century Foundation, Economic Policy Institute, and DEMOS, has put forward its own plan for the federal budget. And we recommend waiting until 2015 before making cuts into federal spending and considering revenue increases. That gives the economy plenty of time to rebound, and we can make significant investments between now and then to get people back to work. The Bowles-Simpson Commission recommended that there be significant cutbacks in the federal workforce, that salaries be frozen for 3 years, that contractors, government contractors, be relied upon less heavily for federal work. And at the same time, they said, we want to make the federal workforce more productive. But that's a very penny-wise, pound-foolish kind of approach to improving productivity. If you start slashing the workforce and freezing salaries and so on, you're going to have the best people in government leave, or more inclined to leave sooner rather than later, leaving people behind who are not nearly as experienced, who are much less likely to know what they're doing. That won't make the federal workforce any more productive than it would in the private sector. You want to keep your best people, you want to encourage your best people to stay, and at the same time, you can still look for ways to be more cost efficient, but just across the board approaches like freezing salaries and slashing workforces willy-nilly isn't likely to achieve that, and will end up making the public feel as though their government's doing an even worse job. The Bowles-Simpson report includes caps on spending for Medicaid, which is the health insurance program that primarily affects lower income people as well as those in nursing homes. And they say, well, we should put a lid on various forms of Medicaid spending, including the money available to states to administer Medicaid. Well, the problem with that is we just had a big health care bill enacted that is going to attempt to move large numbers, many millions of Americans, from being uninsured into the Medicaid system. And that's going to require states to have a lot of administrative capacity to help bring those people on board the Medicaid rolls. Many of the proposals that have come out in recent weeks have recommended raising the Social Security retirement age, the year when you can collect full benefits. Already, under current law, that age is supposed to rise to 67 by the early 2020s. So these groups are proposing not only should we raise it to 67, we should go beyond that to 68 and then 69. But what that means in practical terms is regardless of when you retire, your benefits are going to be significantly reduced. For every year that you raise the retirement age, anyone's benefits are going to be reduced by about 6% upon their retirement, even if they retire at 62 or 64 or 66. The whole schedule is changed when you change the retirement age, and not many people realize that. Social Security benefits are not generous already. They're relative to other countries. We rank 25th out of 30 OECD countries in how much we pay people who are upon their retirement. So instead of cutting benefits, we actually should be thinking about ways to bolster them, particularly for low-income people and those who live to their 80s and 90s. But instead, the preoccupation in the name of deficit reduction is to cut benefits in the guise of saying, well, it's because people are living longer. Only upper-income people are living longer. People low and modest incomes really haven't seen their longevity increase significantly. So that whole idea of raising retirement age is misguided.